Here's the dirty secret that no one tells you. The Catholic schools don't want to tell you how to get in to Tustin schools, and CPS doesn't want to tell you how to get into Catholic schools. And they all don't like each other. They all don't want to play, and they all don't want to help each other do stuff. It's crazy. What's the 5 Ps? Do you remember it?
Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
There you go. It doesn't matter how much money we get. If we don't close, it's no money, right? So no close is no money. I'm everything that I am because of my dad's death. And I wouldn't be as successful without his death. All right, welcome to the Jason Theory. We are here, season 2, episode 9, and I am joined by a very special guest, Nancy. Nancy, tell us, give us the intro on yourself.
Oh, well, you didn't tell me to prepare for that.
It's just you.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. This was such a fun idea and so out of the box for me, and like something that I'm usually, I don't know, I feel like camera and vocal shy, you know.
Well, you are in sales.
I know, it's kind of an odd thing. I just, don't really like talking about myself, but do you just want me to tell people?
Yeah, go ahead. Go.
Well,
quick 2-minute bio.
2-minute bio. Nancy Tassone, born and raised in the suburbs of Chicago. I've lived in the city forever. Have 3 kids. My first one is going off to college in a couple weeks.
Maryland?
She's going to University of Maryland. So that's really tough, but exciting.
Is she going to play softball there?
She's not going to play. She has retired.
Okay.
And had a great run. I have twins that are going to be sophomores in high school, and I've been in real estate for 22 years.
So hold up. The twins that are in, I'm going to interject. The twins that are in high school, is that a boy and a girl?
Yeah.
And who's the gymnast?
So the gymnast is Cammie.
Okay, that's the one I'm missing.
Who's the girl?
That's the one I'm missing.
Yeah.
I mean, I see all the stuff online.
Yeah.
Like, because I always look at the
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that
Everyone
makes sense.
gets the 2 girls confused.
No, I knew the older one that went to Lane.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I know there's a third.
And the twins are at different schools. So
okay.
It all works out.
Nice. So let's talk. We'll start off with. I got so much I want to say and ask. Let's start off with, how did sales change for you quickly? How did sales change for you from, well, let's first, let me toot her horn a little bit more. So everyone says that they're the number one, individual agent, and no one is. Everyone lies. Now, how do you feel about the fact that you are actually the single agent, and people that aren't single agents say they are and take like accolades that they shouldn't be getting? Does that piss you off? Because it pisses me off, and I'm not even a single agent.
It's funny because I don't pay attention to any of that background noise. It's kind of just,
you're a better person than me.
I don't know. It's just kind of like I do my thing, and I.
Whenever I see number one individual agent, I'm like, fuck you. You're not. I mean, you have 4 people. I haven't seen you at a showing for fucking years.
This is true. So should I actually pay attention to it? I think, that would be. It's just not true.
Yeah.
But it's just the world in which we live in, I guess.
And you basically, when you think of, this is why I'm excited for this, because this is what people actually really love, is like high-end luxury. And when you think of high-end luxury, you think Nancy has basically pushed the envelope on high-end luxury on 2 of the probably most, important turns in Chicago real estate, and that would be 9 Walton, which was like 11. Am I saying the wrong number? 9, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you did a big sale at 11 too. That's what was in my head. So you have 9 Walton, which was kind of first of its kind that I can think of. Mm-hmm. And then you go from that, and then you go to 1 Chicago, which is basically like, hey, we're going to bring high-end New York living to Chicago. These are 2 huge projects that you sold. And I think it's super cool to ask you, when a project like this comes about, how do you guys sit down and say, hey, listen, this is what we're going to do, which no one's ever done. Let's start at 9 Walton. No one's ever had, like in Chicago, a house car so people don't have to drive out of their place. Mm-hmm. No one's had the amenities you've had. We're going to do full floors. We're going to do stuff that just is beyond upper end. And on top of it, we're going to ask for pricing that no one's ever seen in the city of Chicago and get it. So it's really cool. Yeah. So when you sit down to think about that stuff, how do you and JDL sit down and say, okay, what are we going to provide that no one's provided, and how do you come up with those ideas?
Okay.
That's a lot of questions.
That's a lot of questions. So, okay, so first
But that's
of
what I'm excited
all,
to ask.
While I would love to take credit for it, I can't. Jim Letchinger, I guess you need a little bit of background. So I have literally been selling everything that he's built since 2001.
Okay.
So we have an extremely long-standing relationship, and he is, obviously one of the most prolific developers in Chicago. But at the time, wasn't. Had been. He started off building single-family homes, and he's just an amazing guy, and he's such a good builder. He's such a good person. So, anyway, so through the years, I've been working with him and selling all his properties. So when 9 Walton came about, I remember because I was in the parking lot picking up, my daughter must have been really little, I was picking up from gymnastics. And I think it was 2014, and he calls me and he tells me, I got it. I got this land, and tells me what he paid for it. And I was like, excuse me? And then in the same conversation...
That's the backside of 2 Delaware.
Right?
Yeah.
And then in the same conversation proceeds to tell me what he's anticipating doing there and the prices that we're going to be charging. And I was like, I don't know if I could do that. And he's like, oh, come on, Nance, you can. So it was, I go through a little bit of shock and awe, thinking, wow, how are we going to break these barriers that have never been broken? But in all honesty, it's him who has this vision. It's like he sees it 1 step ahead or 2 steps ahead of everyone else, I think.
Where do you think he gets that? Is it from traveling? Is it from going to different places and seeing what they're doing?
No.
Or is it just him being like, hey, this is what I imagine, ultra luxury?
Well, I think first it's nice to know that he himself enjoys ultra luxury. He, grew up in Chicago, born and raised, went to Latin, just super hard worker, entrepreneur, 100% self-made. And, I think, part of his personality is just he really likes great service and nice things. So as he made his move, and I've sold many houses along the way for him, as he made his kind of empty nest move into the Gold Coast, he lived at the Waldorf. And I think, he stared at this land where 9 Walton was and took the things, what he loved about living there, and then the things that he knew needed improvement or needed to be different. And so, hence the vision and execution of 9 Walton. Where I step in is looking at floor plans, obviously working on the pricing. He says yes, I say no. He says yes, I say no. Then we meet in the middle somewhere. So it was a really fun process. That project in itself was so unique because we were coming off of a time where nothing was being built, right?
Nothing.
Like nothing. So when the crash of 2008 happened, it was dead silence after that. And I was at a funny time in my life because I had twins. They were 3 months premature. They were very sick. I was trying to work. It wasn't, there's a long story there, but it was lots of surgeries and, some serious illnesses. And so at the time I was like, I need to take off for a little while because I have to take care of my kids. So I sat out for 8 months, which was really hard, but it actually worked out really well because there was nothing happening. And then, just kind of skipping, I was just kind of doing my own business, coming back into the market. And then, 2014 comes. At that time, there was the only projects on the docket was 400 West Huron and 4 East Elm and us. And so that truly was the only options. And the market was starving for what he was bringing to the table.
They needed it.
They needed it. And he did something that no one's ever done in so many ways because he allowed buyers to customize their floor plans. So we had big square footage, which, at that time too, the suburban market was down and there were so many people.
There was a flight to the city.
There was a flight. It was, it's what everybody want. So many people want. My kids are at that point. I want to come and live downtown. They don't necessarily want to. I wouldn't call it downsize. They want to right size. as I like to call it, right? Downside, I mean, people are coming from 10,000 square feet homes. So, we had a lot of units that were 4,700 square feet and 3,500 square feet. And it was just it was absolutely the most fun I think I've ever had in real estate. Because him and I worked together and met with all the buyers, and it was so personal, and it was so custom, and it was so fun.
Yeah, well, it's different.
And we sold out. I mean, we sold out a $350 million project before it was built, which is absolutely
I had a
crazy.
friend who was really high up at Morgan Stanley. When I mean really high up, I mean really high up. And he called me up out of the blue. He goes, "I want you to take a look at something," and he handed me this. I'm like, "What is this?" I go, He goes, "This is the empty lot by 2 Delaware." I go, "Oh my God." He goes, "I think they're asking," I can't remember what the square foot, but it was like double that anything that ever gotten in the city. And I was like, "What the fuck?"
Exactly.
I'm like, "Are you 90 stories in the air?" He's like, "No, man, it's an intimate building." It was crazy.
Yeah, it was a wild process. It was so much fun. And I mean, seriously, it's like all credit to Jim, because getting financing was impossible. I mean, it was just an impossible time. And, he got killed too, as everyone did, as every developer did. And he is just, he's very unique. And like I said, I'd love to give myself credit, but he's a very different developer. As you've experienced some of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like it. Yeah,
It's
he's always going to make it right.
Always,
no matter what.
Yeah.
It'll always be right.
Yeah. And he enjoys customizing for people and meeting people. And it's a very...
He's passionate.
Very, very, in the best of ways.
Yeah. I mean, it has it has charisma. I mean, if he didn't do this, he could, sell fire in hell.
Yes, I always say he could sell
water to a whale.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it was a lot of hard work. I don't want to toss that all aside, of course, as everything is. But he puts people in his company who he trusts and who are smart. And are as engaging as he is, and he just has a very unique thing going on. So
what I loved is when we came to see One Walton is how you guys One Chicago.
But you're close.
Yeah, no, it's been a long day. You're my second pod.
Oh my goodness.
So when we went to go see One Chicago, I was really impressed with the sales center, and then beyond impressed with the marketing, the 3D imaging, and all that. I had not seen that yet, and you guys really pushed the boundaries where when you were in the marketing center, when you were in the model, you definitely knew what you were getting, and it could feel like, how did you guys go about figuring out how you want to attack the marketing on that one? And basically what Jim said is, I took everything that I didn't like about my last project and I made this one better than that one.
It's wow, talk about two different projects and two very different times in the market.
Yeah.
And with COVID popping in there, that was a real surprise. Jim's a perfectionist. I admire that about him, because that's why, his projects are amazing. But like a true perfectionist. So let me give you an example. At One Chicago, we were supposed to use polyform kitchens, and he had the whole kitchen built out. The idea there was to really build a model like we did with 9 Walton. He knocked the whole thing out, spent $1 million building a new sales center, so that people could feel the experience of what it would be like to be in a kitchen or in a bathroom with true ceiling heights and lighting. And it is exactly what you got.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
And you got it. Okay, so he, goes with polyform. The kitchen gets installed. He's just not sitting right with him. He has them come out. They're fixing it. He literally ripped the entire kitchen out, went back to O'Brien Harris, who successfully did all of 9 Walton, and they custom designed a kitchen for One Chicago.
Yeah, I love the kitchen.
Which are amazing. And it's just people don't do that, right? They make a choice. This is what they go with. And he wanted a modern look. It wasn't the right quality. It wasn't the right fit for him.
Who was the thought behind doing the porcelain kitchen counters?
Him and Heather, the designer. I truly,
because now that's the rage, right?
Yeah.
Like the
amazing.
the first time I ever saw it was there, and I was like,
Yeah.
and I was calling my developer. I said, "There's fucking people putting porcelain in kitchens," and I go, and it makes sense.
It
I go, "There's no
makes
maintenance,
sense, right? No,
and you can get the really cool cuts, and you can be thinner."
Yeah, he just, what we always say is this was his so 9 Walton was more classic. I mean, people did do some modern finishes, whatnot, and this was, something that we wanted, or he wanted to be more modern. But modern can look cheap and cold, and it was very important.
Bad modern sucks.
Bad modern really sucks.
It's bad.
That there's some warmth there.
Yeah.
So you have, the combination of the porcelain, but then you have these like beautiful wood O'Brien Harris cabinets,
Yeah.
and he puts great ceiling detail in, and there's a thought behind everything, and it's always okay. What do people use and what do they not use? How can I make the masses happy but customize to what they need? So it's just like there's always like ideas everything always changes. I said to him, don't print brochures this time. Let's not print brochures. We did print the brochures, and I will have it changed. So it's just it's a process.
How did you keep yourself motivated during COVID? Like being frustrated in terms of where that market was, and knowing that it's not the product, it's not you, it's just the market.
Yeah.
Because it's tough to like sometimes get up every day and walk into a wall.
I mean, yes, it is. So we were fortunate and unfortunate with the timing of One Chicago.
Okay, let's hear.
We were supposed to truly launch in April 2020.
Okay.
That was our, like, you had our first buyer.
Yeah.
And that was like the pre.
Yeah.
Right? Where we were just kind of like word of mouth, talking to people we know, sending, just pre-selling in our unique way that we do. I would say non-corporate pre-selling. Okay. Right? And then we were supposed to open, and we were, it was great. Like people were buying, and, still obviously, the prices are what I call JDL prices. And then COVID came, and no one knew what to do. I mean, it was kind of like think about the beginning of COVID. I mean, we didn't know if we were going to die by opening our mail. Yeah. Right? We were wiping off our groceries. Yeah. So, for 3 to 6 months, nobody was there was nothing we could do. There was no working. And so we really,
What were the conversations you guys were having? Because this is not like a single family home. This is like a city block tower.
I think they were lucky enough to keep building. Okay. So that was really interesting. And the conversation went from doing pre-sales to let's see what happens. Like, when are we allowed outside? When are we allowed? Like, what can we do? I mean, obviously nobody's going to buy a condo. People don't even know if they're going to have a job. Yeah. Or, there was that whole period of uncertainty. But then as things started to unfold, and I think like 2020 was a wash completely. Yeah. But as 2021 came in and we started, marketing, and, it wasn't easy because we thought we were going to sell and then be able to customize for everyone, right? That's our thing. That's his thing. And that's a huge selling point, right? Buy this, but like we can build you this, and this. And I've represented buyers on so much new construction where it's just absolutely not the case. Yeah. And so
it's a headache.
It costs a little extra money, but it's the willingness to do it because it is a headache. But that's truly where he gets like his pride and joy. So, so we kind of had to switch gears and just do what we had to do and get people up into the building. Let's just fill these. Let's
just build them.
Yeah, and so was obviously sales were and have been much slower than we anticipated, but who could anticipate what happened? Yeah, it was crazy. And then everybody is like fleeing the city or whatnot, and the riots and the
Yeah, and the fleeing the city is interesting. We talked about that. We can take a left turn here.
We can take a left.
So like the fleeing the city thing, right? It's like everyone's like, oh, everyone's leaving the city. I'm like, yeah, but do you understand? To sell something, someone has to fucking buy it.
Right.
So yeah, someone's fleeing and then somebody's fleeing.
Right.
Which is really interesting. So like you have a development in the middle of downtown. It's super high end. It's fantastic, and you're selling. Who's coming?
Right.
Tell people who's because everyone's like, no one's coming to the city. I go, dude,
I know,
we have 1.8 months of inventory.
Yeah.
Somebody's fucking coming.
Like exactly.
Someone's coming.
So it's interesting because what I saw happening was maybe younger, like families with school age kids. Let's call that anywhere from preschool through freshman year of high school. Okay. Because once you're kind of like in high school, you're kind of there. Yeah. People would move to the suburbs, but I think a lot of those people were already 1 foot in, right? It's like I always tell my clients, if you're going to live in the city, you've got to have. If you want to raise your kids in the city, you have to have both feet in the city. There's hardships and there's great joys. The high school process, it sucks, right? It's hard.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that too.
Yeah, there's so much meat here, but anyway, so I think they fled, and people did. People went they didn't like the restrictions that we had, the COVID restrictions, so they went to Florida. But I think people are starting to, or I've seen firsthand, people starting to realize, wait, I really miss the city. I mean, it's hopping now.
Yeah.
Right? It's,
Well, someone's buying these places.
Yeah. So, what we're seeing at One Chicago, it's interesting because, that's a whole different project. It's very different from 9 Walton. And frankly, some of, if you want peace and quiet and nobody speaking, great. 9 Walton
That's
is
Walton,
that.
yeah.
It's like my baby. I love it. That place is just amazing. But I also like to see people and talk to people, and it's the energy at One Chicago is so amazing. And not only that, but you don't have to go outside literally for anything.
Forever.
Forever.
My client. That's what Andy loves. He's like,
right?
Dude, I'm self-sustained.
They love it. So when we have our crappy winters, which are horrible, or it's raining, or you just are not in the mood, or if you work at home and you want to see people, you just go down to Lifetime. Your membership's included. You take the elevator down. You don't have to go outside. You can eat breakfast, lunch, or dinner there. There's a full service spa, outdoor pool, indoor pool, workout class. You can engage yourself when you want to, with people. And I think as realtors, that's something we kind of just a total side note, left turn. That's something that we're missing, right? Is just kind of the interaction with people all the time. But anyway, and then you have direct access to Whole Foods, and you have a house car, and there's
So are people that are coming there are young family people that are we just want everything in this tower for ease?
So young families are hard thing to pinpoint, right? Because I would say the majority of young families are usually in the townhome house market.
Okay.
But those that want to stay downtown and can afford the pricing.
We're going to assume that everyone can afford the pricing.
Assume that everyone can afford it. The people with young families absolutely love it. I mean, Lifetime has a kids center, and when you're with little kids and you're just going crazy in your house and you don't know what to do, there's so many spaces you could bring them, right? Go down to the one of the rooms or go into.
Are these
the
majority of
game room.
out? Are these people up buying inside the city? Or are these mostly people at One Chicago that are in Walton? Because you've had some sales. Are these people coming into the city? Are they hey, I'm sick of paying $60,000 to live in Lake Forest in taxes when I don't use anything?
No, I wouldn't say. I think they just want a change of lifestyle.
Okay.
Right. So we have a lot of in-towns, and in-towns.
So you still have in-towns?
Yes.
Because I've lost all my in-town business.
It's so funny because, yes, I know, me too. However, I'm noticing as I look at, who's coming from where. I mean, we have buyers from Indiana. Multiple buyers from Indiana bought as second homes, California, even, far out suburbs of our state, of Illinois. And every single person who lives there loves it. So it's just, hooking someone in to say, hey, spend X amount in Chicago. Once they're hooked, if someone gets on the One Chicago train, they're all in.
Yeah.
Right. But in all fairness, that $3 million, we have units that are, $2 to $3 million, but that $3 million plus buyer, those are few and far between right now.
That's what I want to figure.
There's just not as many people out there. There are people.
They're there. I just don't think they're here.
They're here. They're just not here in droves they used to be, right? So I have other places that I've sold
that are there.
It has something it has something unique about it. It's over $3 million. I sold it in 2 days. But then you look at the statistics and you see how many properties are closing in the last year, between 2.5 and 3.5, and between, and I kind of do 2.5 to 3.5, 3 to 5 plus.
Yeah.
And it's the numbers are not great. So I feel like in one way we're lucky we're hooking people in, but you have to, we've had to make some price adjustments to meet, what the market is, and just a lot of patience. And, but when it clicks, it's really clicking. We just put 2 full floors under contract. So that's
nice. Congrats.
Thanks.
I'm always thinking that too. If I had $5 million, I'm like, man, am I staying here?
Right. Like, what are you doing with it? But I mean, these sales are, $9+ million.
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother topic.
They're just like,
It's exciting. I think
it's
that's
awesome.
like such good news for our city. We get so much terrible press.
well, it's easy. Terrible press sells.
Right?
So yeah, I mean, no one wants to hear good shit.
Yeah.
You
Right. I like to hear good shit, though.
Yeah, if you want to hear good shit, literally get online and start looking at podcasts. That's nice stuff.
Yeah.
Legacy media wants nothing to do with positive stuff. It just doesn't. It doesn't
I don't
sell.
know. I saw this article. I don't know. Maybe it was like in the last few weeks that someone had written about the anniversary of Ken Griffin's properties going on the market and how abysmal, the negative, that nothing has sold. And I'm thinking, no, 2 of them. We sold 2. 2 have sold.
First off, when you're talking about a $10 to $20 million property, that's that's $200 million in New York and that's $200 million in California. We're just not that city. Nothing wrong with that.
Right. I totally agree.
We're just not that city.
Yes.
And that's why there's a lot of diversity here, and that's why there's a lot of this and a lot of fun, but that's just not who we are.
Exactly. I mean, there's only so many $10 million plus
Yeah.
players, but I just found that to be so funny to think, really, that's what you're writing about? There's really no good news here.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Whenever I put something on Instagram or TikTok and it's actual factual news, I have trolls, right? And
Yes.
Thank you, trolls. Hold up. Trolls push your fucking logarithm. So troll me away.
That's so funny.
If I get a good amount of trolls,
Yeah.
I get to 200,000 looks. But I got to get trolls. But
Right.
I will sit there and I will literally at about 9 o'clock at night, I will text back every single troll. And I'm like, listen, I'm glad that you have that opinion.
Right.
But that's opinion. These are facts.
Right.
So you can say the market's falling apart, but we had 3 months of inventory last year. We have 1.8 this year. So I don't really care that there's 30% less sales. There's also 40% less listings. I go, this is fucking math.
Genius. This is why I love you.
I mean, it's just math. I mean, it's yeah.
Why I love Jason
It's just
Stratton.
math. So, all right. So now we're going to take another pivot. You've got a daughter that just graduated from Lane.
Sob.
Then you've got a son that's at Lane.
Yes.
And where's your daughter?
She goes to DePaul Prep.
That is interesting.
Right?
Okay, so let's get into that. So did everybody go to Burley?
So a little bit of a unique situation. My older daughter went to Burley. My son, so the twin boy, went to Burley from pre-K to 8th grade.
Yeah.
I don't think they have pre-K there anymore because they didn't.
James started, what's 5? Is that pre-K?
5? What do you mean?
5 years old.
Oh, no, 5 is kindergarten.
Okay, I don't know.
So
that's the one thing I'm
talking about.
5 years old. So it starts at 5.
Right. So when my kids were younger, because mind you, they're 15 and 18 now, gasp. The twins started, and there was preschool. So they went.
Oh.
They started when they were 3 years old. They started up early. So after 2nd grade, my twin daughter, who's a really competitive gymnast, went to school at her gym. And went to school there from 3rd grade through 8th grade, and then is now going to be a sophomore at DePaul Prep. And so Cooper, my son, stayed at Burley, and my daughter went through and both graduated from
So
there.
what are her intentions in terms of gymnastics? I mean, college, Olympics,
Yeah.
So
it's so funny. It's you always get the Olympic question.
I don't know. I mean, as a gymnast, that's it.
She wants to pursue gymnastics in college at a high level, and
Is she in dance too? I mean, no, okay, I didn't know.
Straight up gymnastics.
Okay.
So she loves it. She's very passionate about it. She's a cool cat. She's humble and cool and.
So what's the difference now? In terms of DePaul and Lane for the twins?
Well, for her, she wanted a smaller environment because she's coming from,
Yes.
a very small environment. And she can, just walk to the gym, and that's where she wanted to go. My son, I'm not sure he had much of an opinion where he went, but without getting into too much detail, has services and, and the public school was just a right fit for him.
Perfect.
So it's great. I mean, it's everything's right there, and, she gets done, she can walk to the gym, he can go to sports. We don't live far from there, so it really worked out nicely.
How many times do you get the question about schools? Because you deal in a price bracket where people are going to let's just say 9 out of 10 have kids, larger families. You deal with
Right.
4,000 square foot homes. I mean, you do a lot of other things, but there's a lot of big homes in your repertoire.
Yeah.
This schooling has got to be a question you get all the time. Now, theoretically, we're not supposed to talk about schools, but we can on the podcast.
Yeah, that's a great question. So schools, as years go on and as your kids progress, it's kind of like I've been there, done that through everything. So we've seen preschool and, elementary school and high school. And frankly, I think high school is the hardest of all. It is an honest, I think, a factual statement that we need more good public high schools that are viable options
Yes.
for families. And there's a lot that are coming around and coming up. So, and I definitely think that housing plays a major factor, especially with young families. I have a wonderful family moving into a school district, and we're school district based. They have 3 kids. One's going into kindergarten, and leaned on me to say, hey, what do you recommend? That's a tough question. There's a lot of great schools. And so what I try and do is put them in touch with parents who have kids that go there. Because I really don't know, right? Everything's always based on what someone tells you.
You don't think you know, but you do, because I think you've got a child that got into, do you have 2 children that got into Testons? You have children that have gone to DePaul, and you have who has a DePaul, and you also have kids that have gone to, a sports school with IMG, and that's kind of really cool. And then you've got DePaul, right? You've got Burley. So I think if someone's talking to you, I think it's unique, and I'm saying this because my sister says it to me all the time. She goes, I know that I lose business because I don't know the school system and I don't have kids. And she goes, and it's unique that you have kids that have gone, because I've had kids that have done 6 years in private.
Mm-hmm. Gasp.
Moved them to CPS, and now I have kids that are in CPS tested, and people that are in their 20s and 30s that are just starting to have kids, they have a thirst for, like, how do I do this in Chicago?
Right.
You'd be surprised how much business you
Yeah.
get or keep because of that.
Yes, I think
Because it's a maze.
it is a maze. And my first bit of advice is it's going to be completely different when your kids get to high school. If you have a 5-year-old,
Yeah.
and it's like things are going to be things are changing, and I think there's always more viable options for your family. And I think from an elementary school perspective, there's a lot of good choices.
Which
And
is
it's
weird, right? Like, we're approximately the same age.
Yeah.
Well, you're much younger than me, I would
Obviously.
say. And I just remember always saying, Burley, Bell, blank.
Right? The 3 Bs.
The 3 Bs. That's it. Everything else sucks. And now there's like 20.
Oh, there's so many good schools. And the more that you meet people and your kids, there's so many great things about the city, but, one part of it, the piece of it that I love so much is that kids have friends at all different schools, and there's and the elementary school options, there's so many, and it's all about where do you want to live, what are you looking for in a school, like
yeah.
are you for us, we were just lived in Burley, like we
Yeah.
lived there before we had kids, and then we moved within Burley, but like not even intentionally. When
and you're
my
like,
daughter,
oh, this works,
right? And I think my oldest daughter was just before she was 2 when we moved into the house that we're still in, and so we were kind of just there, and it just made life really easy. It's like there was no question, like she was just going there.
Are you over by Surf and that whole area?
Of course, JDL built my house.
Yeah, my wife and my kids are begging me to move into that area.
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny because when I moved in, so we moved into this house in 2007, but I lived at Columbia Place, the townhomes that I sold from 2004. So if you can imagine, that's a long time ago. And that was all warehouse. That was all industrial over there. And so when we moved in, we were one of the first to move in Columbia Place. It was like dirt, like gravel. It's so different. It's just been a really great place to raise my kids. And,
it's awesome.
It's really fun.
Will just moved to Bell. Did I call you and talk to you about, was that you that I talked to you about testing in 8th grade?
Maybe.
I can't remember.
I
So Will just left Burley.
Okay.
So he went to Bell Gifted, which was like a huge,
wow.
It was a huge, he bleeds Burley. He actually bleeds Burley basketball, but that's another thing. Hey, Mr. Lewis. Oh my God.
Mr. Lewis.
There's only one Mr. Lewis.
I
called him when Will made the decision. And I was like, I'm really sorry. It's like, oh. And I'm like, I'm sorry, bud. Oh. So, but that whole area, everyone's there. Like, when we go to pick up kids, this.
Yeah.
So it's, It's such a nice neighborhood that and I mean basically you guys sold and built that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And now it's like
crazy.
It's like that is its own animal.
Yeah, and it's funny when people discover it for the first time, they're like, I didn't even know this was back here.
Yeah.
It's wild, but yeah, I mean, Burley's a smaller school, and from what I can't imagine. I don't know because I don't have young kids anymore, but I can't imagine that they pull from the lottery anymore.
Well, we didn't. None of us lived. I didn't live in Burley.
How'd you get? Well, oh, did you transfer in?
No, I mean we did, but
right.
We just went on the that. My
was
wife
a while ago.
My wife called CPS up when Lee decided that he's like, listen, I want to go at the time. I want to go to Lane Tech. He's like, that's where I want to go. We used to go to basketball games or this. And I said to my wife, I said, he wants to go to Lane. I said, this is the dirty secret. Here's the dirty secret. Here's the dirty secret. This will be our snippet. This will be one of them that no one tells you. The Catholic schools don't want to tell you how to get in to Tustin schools, and CPS doesn't want to tell you how to get into Catholic schools. And they all don't like each other. They all don't want to play, and they all don't want to help each other do stuff. It's crazy. And I know that from personal experience because when Lee was 6th grade at FXW, I started asking questions about Peyton, Lane Tech, this, that. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, no, you just go to Ignatius. I'm like, I'm not sending my kid to Ignatius. First off, it's in the middle. I can't get there.
Right.
I'm like, that's not going to work for me.
Right.
And they don't want to help each other out. It was crazy. I can't tell you the things that were said to me.
Right.
So we had to take Lee out so that he could track into that space. And everyone is freaked out about moving their kids here or this or this. I mean, kids are resilient. You can move them,
Yeah.
They make friends. And I think my kids became a little bit extroverted because, I pulled them out of, Lee's been to 3 different schools in the last 4 years.
Wow.
This will be Will's 3rd school, and he's in grammar school.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we were very boring then.
So, but it forces you. It's like taking your kid and putting them at Hamlin Park in the play area and be like, hey, there's 15 kids here. I'll be back in 2 hours.
Right.
Either sit in the corner or say hi to somebody.
Exactly.
They got to meet people.
Yeah.
And I think it teaches them to do this or to do that. I think it helps. But it was interesting that how they don't play. But to get back, my wife made a call to the CPS. I don't know. She got a hold of somebody.
Wow, that's impressive.
And hold up. And then the person on the phone spent 2 hours with my wife on how to do the system.
Wow.
You need to do this.
Wow.
Don't do this, do this. And my kids all got into CPS schools that were not in our district.
So interesting.
And then when Will was testing we're like, I love Burley. It just had run its course.
Yeah.
He's only there for 2 years.
Okay.
But Will wants to go to Peyton.
Yeah. And
I'm not saying you can't get there from Burley. However, if you have an opportunity to do something else that makes it a little bit easier for you.
Yeah.
It was a month-long discussion. It was tough.
Yeah.
But then she got another person on the phone. So Will got into Skinner by division. She's like, no, you gotta, and we're telling her what we want to do. And she's like, listen, this is how they do the testing. They go by location. So when you try to get into gifteds and you list all of them, it starts from the closest to your house and then expands as you say no. And you have to keep saying no to go to the next school. And hopefully by the time you get to that school, it's there. And the only place he would go to is I'm not leaving Burley except if it's for Bell Gifted. So we have to keep saying no. And then my wife called in again and said, hey, listen, there's 2 types of schools, right? There's the gifted and then there's I can't remember, my wife could tell you. There's another set of schools. And once you say no to that one, you're off the list of the other one. You have to reapply.
Wow.
People don't know this.
I don't know this.
And if you don't know, but if you know it,
yeah,
the world is your oyster.
Right. But I also feel I don't know. I never had a plan. We just
Am I overplanned?
You're overplanned, but like that's you. Like you do you. Like your kids are obviously super successful.
I was like, this is what
I've got way too much going on. I don't know. I'm like the mom of 3. I work full time. You got family stuff, whatever it is. I don't know. We just kind of like put them in school, and then they took the tests, and like this is what
But I think it's just such a shame that there's such a wealth of like schooling for people that they just don't tell how to do it.
I mean, I do agree with that, but that is CPS. But what's interesting too, because I have a lot more perspective on high school now that I've had someone graduate, is that when you're applying to college, you're competing against the people at your school. So if you're at Peyton or Lane or one of the selective enrollment schools, and that's your pod that you're competing with.
Ooh.
So if you go to Lakeview or Amundsen or any of the other high schools,
you may have a better chance.
I'm just saying. I mean, I also feel like
Amundsen and Lakeview are on the up and up.
Oh, Amundsen's great.
Yeah.
I don't know much about Lakeview.
Amundsen, I know a lot of people that are going to they're choosing Amundsen.
So that's what we need in the city, right? Options that are that get people excited, and there are good options, right? Like
there's tons.
There's great. I mean, there's anyway. So yeah, that's definitely like a whole nother topic. And then you get into the whole thing with college, and that's it's just different. Like
I can't even imagine.
It's just. Depends how you approach it, right?
How did she decide? I mean, that's like, how did she decide?
It's so random, right?
Yeah.
Like who goes to University of Maryland? I love it. I'm super excited for her.
How did that come about?
Our whole theory on college, and this is debatable for anyone, but I am a big believer in everyone just do you. I don't judge, I don't criticize, and I hope no one does the same of me. And if they do, so be it. So be it. I just don't care anymore. But my husband and I are independently successful in careers that have absolutely nothing to do with where we went to school. So we've always told our kids, like, there's a place for you. You can be successful anywhere you go. Do not stress out about this process. And so as we went through it with my older one, it was kind of like, all right, let's like apply and see where you get in. So she had no idea where she wanted to go. At first she wanted to play softball, and so that's like a whole nother track. But fast forwarding, her college counselor said, apply to University of Maryland. It's a fantastic academic school. And she loves sports. So she's like, the sports are awesome.
Yeah, Maryland's like a huge sports school.
Literally, the stadium is in the middle of campus.
That's awesome.
It's like the stadium, the baseball field. It's just so cool. The weather was a big deal for her. She really thought she wanted to be in the South, and then realized like, that's really not like the best fit for me. And at least in Maryland, it's better than Chicago, right?
Yeah.
It's more temperate. So anyway, needless to say, she got in, and so she went to Admitted Students Day, and actually I connected her with Natasha.
Has she visited the school?
She had never visited. So I have some advice in that. I have some feelings about that too. Okay. So
go to those feelings real quick before you forget.
I will not forget the feelings, but if I could go. Well, I guess it really doesn't matter now because I wouldn't go back.
Someone listening to this could be like.
But I think it's really important to visit multiple schools that you would consider likely to get into.
Okay.
Right? Whatever those might be. We don't call them safeties anymore. But somewhere where you think like, if I apply there, I'm going to get in. And focus on those so you have places that you're excited about that most likely you will get into.
Okay.
Then you apply, and you also apply to all your, reach schools or whatever that may be, and see where you get in. And that way, if you get in, go visit, see if you like it. You have time, right, from when you get the acceptance to when. So
how much time is that? Like a month and a half, 2 months?
Well, it depends because there's all the early decision and early action. So
we didn't have that. I don't even know what the hell that is.
I don't even know. I don't even
There's
remember.
There's like 5 different earlies.
So, and
I'm like,
I
what?
also don't even know. I know early decision is binding. So it's like if you apply there, you have to get in.
But if you don't, how do you have to go there?
I mean,
no one can't make you go. It's like Gestapo.
How
does somebody say, "Oh, you got in here, you have to go"? Well, no, I'm going to go there. Well, we're going to come get you.
I don't know. I mean, maybe there's some
Maybe they pass a note to everybody.
There might be.
Someone said that to me.
Yeah, and then there's this early action now, and so you can apply earlier. And I don't even know if that's beneficial. I mean, I have absolutely no idea. But
I would just apply early action everywhere.
Then there's rolling admissions.
Okay.
So I don't know, you apply and then they, you get in earlier. It's just kind of as they get the applications,
Someone said they got into a school, but they're like, you can't come till second semester.
Yeah, so that happens. Yeah.
Okay.
So, so it's a way for schools to put more qualified students in and whatnot. So there's a lot of ways. So anyway, I don't know.
So now you talked to Natasha.
So funny enough, I remembered that Natasha's daughter went there because I'm like, who goes to Maryland? And I connected them. She's a doll. And Avery went there. It was raining and horrible. And it was an admitted students day. And she came back. She's like, I think I like it there. Like, I think I could go there. And then, I don't know. Then she made her decision in April.
Did she visit any other schools?
So she visited, we did a southern trip, because she had this thing where she wanted to go to the Carolinas, but I'm like, you've never been to the Carolinas? So that's one place we went to visit. Because I'm like, I don't know, is this like something from a TV show? What's going on here?
I'm sure there's a reality show that's in Carolina.
Yeah, and we had visited, just when we were at softball tournaments, we had seen a couple schools in Colorado. We looked at Boulder. We looked at Denver. She didn't apply to either. She didn't end up wanting to go to
That's
Colorado.
a party school.
It's so, I would love to go there. I went to the
school.
University of Wisconsin in Madison. It reminded me, like Pearl Street reminded me of State Street, and she was like, no.
I drove to I drove to Boulder from LA when I was in college, and I was like, oh my God, how's anybody get anything done here?
Mm-hmm. So and you just kind of like, she went out on a limb. I mean, she doesn't know anybody. She's since met people.
But that's
going to
make her such a better person, and that's going to breed success because she's going to have to be personable.
Yeah, and she is. I mean, she's so outgoing, and she's funny, and she's a really great adult, actually. I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud to be her
When
mom.
she went to Lane, was it the same thing? Like, I'm going to go here, but she had friends? Was it that different situation? Or did she know people from softball?
It was actually, I have to remember. So, mind you, COVID was during her, so when she was at Lane, COVID hit freshman year. So she was out.
COVID was that long ago, huh?
Yes, it was. Yes, I know. She was out second semester and then all of sophomore year and then just returned as a junior, which was very challenging. When I think she actually wanted to go to Loyola, or thought she wanted to go to Loyola.
That's a long drive.
I know. And at the time, DePaul wasn't in the new campus. And
I was about to say, at that point, just go to DePaul.
Not at the time. She was, I don't know. I don't even remember. Then she got into Lane and went to Lane. And it was just kind of like, I don't know. It was kind of like stressful at the time. But I'm just not a parent who gets like overly involved in like testing. And I mean, I don't know. I was late to the ACT game. Like, I just cannot, like, I don't know. The work fills my plate. And I remember I was on winter break. We were with my friends and this was summer. Okay, so this was winter break of junior year, and I guess you take the ACTs or SATs junior year. And she was telling me how her daughter, who's the same age as Avery, had already taken the ACTs 3 times. I was like, oh, do you have the name of your tutor? And so it's like, I just like was not on the ball, but I just feel like everything just kind of works out as it should. And sometimes that path is really tough to go through and to get to, but I'm just kind of a believer in like, if you don't get in somewhere, it's not meant to be. And if you do, maybe it's meant to be. And, Avery's willing to go out on a limb and,
I think it's awesome. I'm
super excited for her.
My wife is dead set on my kids going to U of I. And I'm like, I got to get them out of Illinois. I said, Nikki, that's the education.
Yeah.
Is being like, I mean, she's going to be on the East Coast with like a completely different mindset. Like to this day, like if I didn't go to LA, I don't know if I'd be the same person because I was exposed to just a completely, I mean, I'm still who I am.
Yeah.
But I was exposed to such a completely different culture that was, I mean, I went from military school to Los Angeles.
Holy cow.
So it was like 60 dudes in a bunk to like, holy shit.
Right? Just holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'd never heard of any of this stuff. Like we're in LA and they're like, oh, this guy's, do you want a hippie flip? He's on mushrooms. He's taking ecstasy. And I was like, what the fuck? It's like, oh yeah, dude, start seeing cartoons. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm okay. But it's like, I think that is such an education in itself.
I mean, I think, risk taking is like, it's like cliche, but no risk, no reward. I left a like amazing job at a top consulting firm and like just kind of like bounced into real estate. I took a risk, I took a risk and here I am. And it's not, listen, she's at a great school. It's not, but just going out of your comfort zone is so important.
By herself.
That's
huge.
Yeah.
She's strong. That's huge.
Yeah.
At what point, like, I'm like, I think I'm there now, but I'm also a little bit nuts. But at what point were you able to start turning, because you don't get to where you're at and you're dealing with all these projects. I know you took the 8 months off, but how did you start, or have you started, and when did you start to become more life balanced and be more, right? Because you went from Accenture, you're probably working a gazillion hours a week.
Yeah.
Then you go into real estate, which everyone's like, oh, I want my own hours. I'm like, dude, there is no own hours.
No.
You know what no hours means? It means you answer the phone at all hours.
It's the most flexible, inflexible job out there.
I tell it to people all the time. I go, they're like, how do you like it? Is it your own hours? I go, it sucks.
Right.
But then you go to there, like, my aha moment was about a year and a half ago when I was like, oh my God, he's in college. This one's in 6th grade, and this one I'm going to miss. I'm like, at what point were you like, I need to take more family time, or I will, and you don't have to say you do this because I don't want to incriminate you.
No, it's okay.
But there's times where I'm like, I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah.
I go, because I've got to.
Yeah.
I'm knocking on 50. I've got to make sure I have family time.
Yeah.
Which I would never have done coming up.
Yeah. First of all, I'm honest with my clients. I mean, I'm surrounded by good people. I've had the same assistant for 13 years.
Oh my Lord.
I think coming up on 13 years. Who's currently on maternity leave, which is amazing for her, and I'm so excited for her, but I'm like struggling. She's amazing. She's incredible. But anyway, she's licensed. She's amazing. She knows my clients, and I find people to help. You can't do it alone. You can't. I'm my own person, but I have, a few people in my company that I love and I trust, and that, if I fill them with the right information, they can cover for me, right? So it became, I think once my kids started in like ultra competitive sports, and I was like, I am not missing this. It just goes by in a blink. I mean, it's over for one of them. And so I really made it a priority. There's extenuating circumstances, of course, but I made it a general rule that I'm going to be at every game.
That's awesome.
So I
hope they appreciate that.
People do. I mean, and then there's times where I just want to cry and hang up the phone. I have this one vivid memory, because it wasn't that long ago. That's probably why I remember. We're driving in the dark in South Carolina, Avery and I, because we're going to look at some schools. And I'm in the middle of negotiating a very, very big deal. And I was unable, because of who I was dealing with, to get off the phone. And I had no idea where the hotel was. It's totally dark. I'm trying to navigate. My kids are so used to me being on the phone. Then I finally find it. We pull in the parking lot. I'm on the phone. I hang up. And Avery goes, I don't know how you do your job. How do you, I could never do that. And I just, it's those circumstances. You have to do it, but you just want to say, what is this important right now? What can't be dealt with in 1 hour? And so I just think it's a matter of as you get older, you just, there's things that take priority, and sometimes it's work and sometimes it's my family. But I have found that if you're honest with people, that, you say
they get it.
They get it. People, they're humans. People are human. And we all have, sometimes you just have to take a step back and say, the world is not going to fall apart because I can't get you a counter offer in the next 20 minutes. It's okay if it's in the morning, everybody. Unless there's, if you're in a
there's
crazy,
always, there's always
offer. But I think it's really important for people just to calm down. Everybody, sometimes I'm just
Have you ever had to fire a client?
Oh, I got to think about that. Probably.
You have to think about if you fired
a
client?
No, I have. I have to. It's I wish Jen was available so I can ask her. But I know.
You want to ask your assistant how many clients, people have you fired?
The only thing that would make me fire, or has made me fire someone, is abusive behavior.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I had to get abused in a way, not physically, but verbally, or being treated bad, to figure out who I am and what I'll stand for. And oftentimes, when you're new in your career and you have someone that's a big client, or you get your first oh my gosh, they're buying $1 million house.
Yeah.
It's not an excuse to treat you poorly. And so I would say I have a few regrets of clients I kept. Those clients would not be my clients now. I would never tolerate that now.
So you haven't had any of those in a while? I would think sometimes at your price point, there's some people that
You know,
think they're important, but they're not really important.
it's so interesting because you would think that, but I have some of the nicest clients.
Well, yeah.
You know, but I
there's
also
always
know how to deal with this level of, you know, whether it's this price point or it's like after so many years, it's like you've kind of seen everything. And so you know how to navigate.
Just bounces off.
All you need to do is solve. My best advice, all you need to know is be a problem solver and don't waste people's time.
Okay.
Time is money.
Yep.
Like, do it for them. You know how to do it. Take care of it. Meet the mover. Meet the person. Open the door. Just say, I'll deal with it. And that's all you need to do. Seriously, it's like super easy. But yeah, I mean, you know, I think we've all hopefully fired and we've all been fired.
Yeah.
You know, like that sucks, but like it's understandable, right? If I haven't been able to sell your place, you know, and it's.
What do you say when someone fires you?
It's so funny because I just got, I would say I just got fired. And I absolutely adore this client. Very, very tricky property to sell. Very tricky. I had it for a long time. We had multiple showings, but the last time this property sold, it also took a very long time. So anyway, he recently calls me up and says, you know, I like you so much. You've done such a good job, but I feel like I know, and I'm like, oh god.
Okay, just get to it.
I'm like, just get to it. But I feel like I owe it to, like, I have to try something different for 6 months. And I was like, totally understand. I'm like, I love working with you. If something changes, let me know. Like, maybe there's something someone else can do that I didn't do. Like, yes, it sucks. You wasted time and money, and you know, I mean, we put a lot of money into our listings, right? But, you know, I don't want to say easy come, easy go. That's not the right phrase. But it's like where one thing ends, another begins, right? And if it's better for my client and if it works for him, then great. The idea is to get the property sold.
Yeah.
And those kind of relationships and looking at work from that perspective, I think is part of the reason that I can be successful.
100%.
It's kind of just like
you're not doing it for the money. You're doing it for
right.
You're doing it for, hey, listen, this is the task that I have, and this is what I want to do, and get this person on. Like what you just said, kind of really. If you go to Nancy's website, she has a video about, and it's a great video. Like I was like,
thank you.
It is. It doesn't even talk about real estate. It does, but not really. But it's like that, and I watched it, and I was like, man, that's like. This is how you should feel. And if you feel this way, you're going to be successful because you're doing things for the right reasons. And people feel that, like that nonverbal is everything, like the energy that you have. That's what people are drawn to. It's not like people can sniff out bullshit.
Oh, totally.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, and I'm always like, I'm always scrolling or this, and I see somebody here, and I'm like, man, who hires this person?
I know. I mean, it's just like there's so many different personalities, and I just always like.
It's great.
Say, like, I don't take myself that seriously. You know, obviously I take my job seriously, and I do but it's like my own self. Like I can joke with myself, I can make fun of myself.
Yeah.
Like we're all just like humans trying to do the best thing, and I feel that I've really put an effort into making sure I have the right relationships with agents and don't. You know, I'm not a yeller, and I don't really lose it. And that has come around, like around and around, right? Because like, it's like you're awesome, right? Like I know if there's a multiple offer or whatnot, like I would love to, I know I want to work with you. And I could confidently say to my client, like, this is a great agent.
And we're going to close.
Or we're going to close. Or just, I don't know. It's just like, we're all humans. Can we just like be nice to each other and be honest? Can we just talk about honesty for a second?
I think. I mean, it could be just the people that we hang out with, but I think everyone is like in our groups are real honest, nice people.
Yeah,
I do. I think there is a tremendous. I can count at least 40 agents that if I didn't have their signature on a contract and it was a handshake, it's as good as gold.
Agree.
And I think that unfortunately, like that is the thing that we're missing. But I think there's enough of them out there. And they pretty much all the business anyways. So, but how do you talking about that, how do you deal with when you get multiple offers on something and you do have two agents, one one maybe you don't know, this, that. Like when you present that to a client, do you say that to them? Like, listen, because I say, I'm like, I don't know this person, I don't know this person, I don't know this person.
Right.
I've done 10 deals with this person. They might not be the highest.
Right.
But the person that closes is what you want.
Yeah. I mean, and there's so many variables to that too, right? And circumstances. But, I vividly recall how a single family home that I sold, and we had 5 good offers come in, right? Hot market, 5 great offers. And my first and foremost, I wanted to get the quickest closing because my clients had moved out, and I wanted great people to buy it because you always want that. But there's terms. There's like, what is it, cash? Is there a mortgage contingency? So it's like immediately the cash ones come to the top, right? Because a mortgage contingency is a nightmare. So immediately those ones go to the bottom, and then you're left with, okay, I've got like 2 cash deals here, and these are the prices, and they're pretty similar. And I've worked with this agent a lot. I was so excited that she and her lovely buyers got the home. It could have gone either way. It wouldn't make a significant difference. But I did say to my clients, I've worked with, this is a great agent. I've worked with her a number of times.
Yeah, they can control their client, and not in a bad way.
Yeah.
But they have a relationship.
Exactly.
I know that this person's worked with them. We're not, no one's going to say, hey, listen, I want $100 credit for a fucking outlet that's out.
Right. Do not read the contract.
Yeah, there is that, and I think that relationship is what a lot of people in all of sales are missing, and I think that's what's kind of like from the 35-year-olds and down. I think that's what they're missing.
Ding, ding, ding! Like literally, you could not have said it better.
Yeah, I mean,
it's also
and buyers
we had to be in an office with people and interact and learn how to, you need to learn other people's personalities and how to, deal with them. And, sometimes you just I always say conquer it with kindness.
Yeah. I think buyers and sellers too, don't realize, when I'm doing a video where I'm talking to somebody, and I'm just they're like, well, this or this. I'm like, you have no idea how, the harder it gets, the more important these relationships are. Because, man, I fired a client. I fire clients all the time.
Yeah.
So I had a client, there was multiple offers with an agent that I know. We put the offer in. Out of nowhere, she didn't even call me. She canceled my buyer. And I put my reputation on the line, which takes me X amount of years to get to.
Yes.
And then I put it on the line for them. And then she turned around, canceled, didn't tell me. And that agent called me up. And
it's the worst feeling.
I literally called her up. I said, what happened? She told me everything. I said, listen, you need to do X, Y, and Z. She goes, okay. And I said, but this is a journey that you won't be taking with me. That's exactly what I said.
Use more balls than I do.
I said, I wish you the best, because what happens if that person, it's not fair to it's not fair to my buyers that are behind her.
Right.
Because now, if I have multiple offers and I have another client and we're at the same agent, that agent's not going to go with me.
Yes.
That's huge. Mm-hmm. People don't understand, when you're a bad buyer or seller, you can destroy somebody. Because let me tell you something, every person in life has a reputation, and that reputation precedes them, and that reputation is earned. And if it's bad, no one's going to do business with you. And if it's good, people are going to do business with you, and you're going to be successful.
Yes.
And I was like, I am not going to let you do this to me. That's my full stop is if you cancel you're my buyer and you cancel before telling me, you're done.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You're done. And then as a seller, if I'm selling your place and you kind of lie to me or you try to trick me, how about sellers that are trying to finagle? I'm like, dude, we're all on the same fucking team, man. Right. I can't get this done if you're lying to me. Then that's another full stop, because I'm like, I'm out there too.
Yeah. And I now, and I do have hard boundaries. I'm not a high number of transaction broker.
Yeah, that's the difference.
I work at a higher price point. So, but I can now be pickier about what I take. And frankly, if I'm not good at it, I refer it out. I truly, if I'm not the best, or I don't think I can really get the job done well, and it's in an area that I don't normally work in, why not get them to someone who can do that? Right? That's just kind of the world in which I run.
You're only setting yourself up for failure.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
I always whenever I have, I'm doing open houses this weekend. I still do them. I'm doing open house this weekend, and this one younger agent's like, "Can I just sit with you when you're doing open houses?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, what's the one piece of advice you could give me? And I'm like, set expectations. I'm like, you have to set expectations, and they have to be realistic, because if not, you're going to get fired, and it wastes everybody's time. And I said, when you tell something's worth this, and they want to list it for this, I say, okay, I put it on email, because I got to have record of it.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm like, if we list for this, these is the outcome. If we list for this, this is the outcome. I want to make sure that you're okay with outcome B.
Right. I know.
I just had that talk with somebody. I'm like, I'm okay. I'm like, I just want to make sure.
Yeah. I mean, I also I just tell the truth. Like, listen, the numbers are here. I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is the market. This is what it is. It does both of us a disservice.
And if they don't hire you, they just don't. If they're not hiring you, they're not looking for someone to do the job. Yeah. They're looking for someone to just say yes to what they want.
And a sister times that'll come back around and hit me the second go round.
I know, and then you can price it for lower.
Exactly. So yeah.
My sister always says it's just like marriage. You want to be the second husband and the second real estate broker.
Right. I have heard that. Very, very, very.
So we'll close on this. What are you working on next? And is it Moody? Is that it, or is that
So that's actually all rental.
That's all rental.
Yeah. So I've got right now I'm working on the sellout of One Chicago.
Okay.
And then my resale business of various sorts.
Which is awesome, because you work the best buildings, so it's the best resales.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It depends on the market, right? And I'm just kind of like one day at a time. I just am, I've got a kid going to college, and, I'm working hard and digging my feet in and kind of constantly trying to find new and innovative ways to reach people.
I know. I love your social media.
Thank you.
I told Blake yesterday.
Oh, he's the best. I actually just I have a really unique property coming to market, and I thought of this idea on site. I was like, wait a minute. Record me talking to brokers and let me send that out, like a voice, right? Hey, I literally was like, hey, brokers, I know this is unconventional, but I have a really unique opportunity. Let me just explain it to you.
And then filming while you're talking to other brokers.
Or just a quick explanation so they can watch that. And then I'm going to send the floor plans. And I was like, if you have someone that's even potential for this, call me. It's very unique.
But how about that voice? While Blake is running through it.
Oh, it's amazing.
And say, hey guys, this.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother thing, even though said, let's close with it. I mean, you and I are not of the social media generation. This is, we are Facebook people. That was the first social media introduced us.
What was before Facebook?
Nothing.
What was, no, there was,
what was something?
Yes. MySpace.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah.
We just had to ask the younger kid.
I don't know how to. I mean, I have Instagram, but it's I can't keep up with what's going on. So you just
your IG's good.
Well, yes, because I have people helping me with.
And
it.
It's good that you put kid stuff in there, because that's how you. That's
light.
I know. But hold up, people want.
Yeah.
People want to be in sales. Yeah. The person. They want to be part. They want you to be part of their life. Yeah. They want to be part of your life.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I was, in working with Blake and Drone Hub Media, who they're fantastic, and they've taken over my social media. It's really important to me. It's I kind of don't like marketing myself. I just want to sell my properties, which is.
Do you know in all your videos approach. You never say your name? I want you to start with your name. Hi, this is Nancy. Okay. You don't. You just go right into it.
It's on my social media, but I don't know why. It's just this thing. I don't know, for some reason I have a hard time.
You're good at
saying or this year I did this much in sales. I don't know. It's kind of I have a job, people hire me, I want to sell their properties.
You got to do it a little bit because you got to flex a little. Yeah. Because whenever I reach out to clients, they'll be like, blah, 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 blah. I have somebody for you, blah, 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 blah. I mean, you. Yeah. But the homes you're selling and the price tags that are on there, speak for themselves. So, but it's not bad to flex.
Yeah, it's just
just a little.
It's a little unnatural. It feels a little unnatural for me. So I am I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone a little bit, but it's I don't need my picture all over the place. It's just not.
Well, but it's good. I was that's how I knew your daughter hit 3 home runs.
There you go.
See,
same game. Yeah, that's pretty exciting. Yeah, it's fun. We're all I said, we're humans. We're just people all trying to raise our kids and be good people. I think that's my goal. Right? I just want to be a good person and have great life experiences, and and raise good people. And so like, let's all kind of
do it together.
Right? Like there's enough room. There's plenty of room for all the realtors and for,
we all do different things.
Right? We're all so different.
Yeah. I walked into a Starbucks and there was a broker there and he started going bananas on Redfin and this and this. And I just looked at him and I said, man, we have different business models.
Right.
Like, power to you, but I don't, and no one has to like tread on anybody. I mean, we're in a fucking city with millions of people.
There's so much opportunity. That's just why I like mentor people. I love teaching people. If I have any tricks, I'm happy to tell you about them. Like, there's plenty of room for everybody. You're not going to win them all. You're not going to get them all.
No, you can just instead of all of us just cutting from the same pie, we can just keep it growing like this, and then just idea. And then just make the pie bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
everyone makes more, and there's just more space for people.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll leave on this one. Advice for parents in terms of, do you do any type of social media for your kids in terms of keeping an eye on it? How do you keep an eye on that and bullying off of social media? I know it's a whole course in itself, but like something, since you have a college, 2 high schoolers at 2 different schools, all these different groups. Like I said, I mean, your son and my son kind of cross paths. There's 200 kids that basically run the city, and and everyone is at everybody's throats, especially on the athletic side. It's crazy to me. Like, Lee gets Snapchat. Like, Lee will go 1 for 4 in South Illinois, and someone will Snapchat him like, "You suck. You only hit 1 hit today." Out of nowhere, he's like, "I don't even know who the fuck this kid is."
Oh my god. First of all, I hate Snapchat.
It's the devil.
I literally wish Snapchat would die. I don't know.
It's a source of all bullying.
This is a whole nother topic. But, I don't have any, we have screen time, in terms of like what time the phone goes off, but you really can't control your kids. You can only talk to them. At least that's what, I'm trying to be the best mom I can. I'm trying to raise good people. That's what I care about. If you're, I don't need you to get all A's. I need you to be a good human being that gives back to society and does, is a good human.
When they come to you with something that happened on social media or someone saying something, what's your go-to advice?
So it's actually easier with my girls because I am a girl, right? So I understand how.
Do you identify as a girl?
I identify as a girl.
Okay.
I understand. Nothing changes, right? Call it bullying or the exclusion. I mean, the heartbreak.
It's bullies with boys and it's exclusion with women.
Yes.
I listened to an amazing podcast with Bill Maher, and
I love Bill Maher.
It's Bill Maher and Peterson, the clinical psychiatrist, and it was 2 hours of amazingness, and an hour of it was on how social media is giving rise to psychopaths because there's no checks and balances.
Like, completely.
And society has friends slapping other friends to move them back to where they should go. And social media is a friendless society. It's really, really cool.
I have
it's a great
so
pod.
many feelings about this. I can't even.
I hate it. But
I have so many feelings. But, I feel like all I can do if I speak, with my girls, if they're in a situation and they want to talk about it with me, I'm going to give them advice on how to handle it based on how I poorly handled it when I was a kid, or based on I know what happens in the end, right? Yeah. And so if someone's being excluded and that's happening, well, be an includer.
Yeah.
Because you know how it feels to be excluded.
Yeah, I told that to my friend. I told that to Will, because Will's kind of like a little bit of a ringleader.
Yeah.
And I go, if I ever hear exclusion or this, I'm literally going to throw you through a wall.
Yeah. And then, and the boys I have one boy, and it's just a little bit harder because, I don't understand the male brain, and they get kind of quiet at 15 and 14 and 15, right? But listen, we all we do the best we can. And when we know better, we do better.
Yeah.
So
okay.
That's what I'll say.
All right. Well, thank you so much. This was fantastic.
So fun.
This is going to be on in about 3 weeks. So it'll be good. We'll be on it towards the middle of September. I want to thank Nancy. Nancy, can you give kind of your social media, like if people want to reach out to you, if they want to look at your beautiful properties? I mean, her social media. So it's the absolute real estate porn is Drone Hub. That is real estate porn. If you want to see something, but yours is real estate porn in Chicago.
Yeah.
It's really cool. There's a tremendous the rooftop deck you just sold on Walton.
Oh, I love that property.
It's so insane.
We close on that at the end of this month.
Yeah, under contract in 10 days.
Yeah.
The roof deck's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
There's awesome stuff on her stuff, so give them all of your socials if you want to give a phone numbers,
All
whatever
my
you want to do.
socials.
Whatever you want to give.
Okay, well, Instagram is just at Nancy Tassone.
That's easy.
NancyTassone.com would be my website.
You can watch her bio movie in the beginning, which is nice.
Very complicated stuff. And, you could just Google me,
Okay.
I guess.
All right.
I don't know. I'm not that interesting.
Okay.
But you can have some real estate porn.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys listening to The Jason Theory. As always, you can find us on Audible, iTunes, Spotify, and Buzzsprout, and anything else. If you just Google it, it'll all come up. And we'll see you soon. Enjoy September and getting into October. Bye.